In the Zaporizhzhia region, the Vostok Group's Solntsepyok heavy flamethrower system unleashed a devastating thermobaric strike that obliterated an armed forces of Ukraine stronghold, collapsing fortifications and wiping out resistance in a single inferno. Along the Kharkiv axis, Giatsint-S self-propelled guns of the 6th Guards Combined Arms Army from the Sever Group thundered into action, crushing enemy hardware, ripping apart fortified positions, and wiping out UAV command posts that once coordinated Ukrainian strikes. Then, shifting south to Zaporizhzhia, the Vostok Group's artillery crews brought surgical destruction with 152mm Giatsint-B guns, hammering the armed forces of Ukraine strongholds with pinpoint barrages until resistance was erased from the battlefield. The footage shows the Mi-28NM helicopter crew successfully executing a mission during the special military operation. The crew received coordinates for a concealed Ukrainian Armed Forces drone command post within the area of responsibility of the Center Group. After takeoff, the helicopter delivered a precise strike using a light-guided missile, hitting the target directly. Reconnaissance reports confirm the post was destroyed, neutralizing the enemy's control over drone operations in the sector. In the operational zone of the Center Group, a Sukhoi Su-34 bomber swooped in to strike a Ukrainian command post and UAV control point. Coordinates had been carefully identified in advance, allowing the crew to deliver a precise strike with guided aviation bombs. The impact obliterated the personnel and equipment inside, leaving the enemy's drone operations crippled and command lines disrupted. With the mission complete, the Su-34 returned safely to base, its attack leaving a clear mark on the battlefield and denying the enemy a critical node in their operational network. Objective control footage captured a combined strike against a Ukrainian armed forces concentration near the village of Moshchnoye in the Chernihiv region. Russian units delivered coordinated fire that targeted both personnel and equipment, leaving the area devastated and disrupting enemy formations. The assault struck with precision, collapsing defensive positions and scattering troops, while artillery and missile systems ensured that no part of the concentration zone remained intact. Footage reveals the aftermath of a strike on the Odessa-Brody oil pipeline, part of JSC Ukrtransnafta. The impact severely damaged the infrastructure, disrupting fuel transport and cutting a critical supply line in the region. Near Komi, in the Chernihiv region, specialists of the Unmanned Systems Forces deployed a Geran strike UAV to hunt down a lorry loaded with ammunition and its escort vehicle of the armed forces of Ukraine. The precise hits turned both transports into burning wrecks, cutting supplies and crippling movement in a single attack. Precision strikes by Uragan, multiple launch rocket systems, hammer the Krasnoarmysk direction as operators from the 61st Separate Guards Marine Brigade of the Center Grouping eliminate concentrations of armed forces of Ukraine personnel and equipment. Real-time reconnaissance from drone units tracks the movement of large enemy formations along the front line. Once targets are confirmed, rocket artillery rapidly engages, unleashing salvos that tear through positions. Objective control footage confirms the destruction of both enemy manpower and armored vehicles. Destruction of enemy supply hubs and command infrastructure unfolds in the Donetsk People's Republic. Near Ilyanovka in the Kramatorsk sector, an ammunition depot, temporary deployment areas, and multiple UAV command centers of the armed forces of Ukraine were precisely identified and struck. The operation was carried out by the 238th Guards Artillery Brigade using 152mm to A65 Mesta-B howitzers, with real-time target designation provided by Orlan 30 reconnaissance drones. High-precision Krasnopol M2 guided munitions landed directly on critical nodes, collapsing logistics, disrupting drone coordination, and stripping frontline units of control and resupply in a single, coordinated fire mission. In the Kristoforovka area of the Dnipropetrovsk region, a Lancet loitering munition struck a Ukrainian armed forces pickup truck, obliterating the vehicle and neutralizing its crew. Surviving troops sought shelter in a nearby building, but the cover was short-lived. FPV drone operators quickly targeted the structure, delivering precise strikes that destroyed the remaining enemy position and sealed the area. The Lancet loitering munition strikes with deadly precision, destroying Ukrainian armored vehicles on the Zaporizhzhia front, turning moving steel into burning wreckage and tightening the pressure along the line of contact. An anti-aircraft drone successfully intercepted and destroyed a Ukrainian Darts UAV. The enemy aircraft was detected approaching Russian positions and was immediately engaged, leaving no chance for evasion. Along the Krasnoarmysk direction, Grad rocket crews of the Center Group unleashed a crushing salvo on an armed forces of Ukraine stronghold, tearing the position apart and stopping a planned troop rotation in its tracks. The strike collapsed defenses and left the sector cleared of organized resistance. In the Zaporizhzhia sector, Russian artillery systematically dismantled a network of armed forces of Ukraine defensive positions that had anchored the enemy's front line. These strongpoints were not isolated. They formed an interconnected hub used to concentrate troops, coordinate fire, and secure supply flow. Once reconnaissance exposed an ammunition depot operating behind the line, Giatsint guns shifted focus and erased the logistical backbone supporting the defenses. With supply cut and fortifications reduced across urban zones and forest belts, the entire defensive structure collapsed under sustained fire. Objective control footage captures a missile strike hitting a concentration area of a Ukrainian armed forces unit near Volnoy Pershoy in the Kharkiv region. The strike obliterated the enemy position and equipment, leaving the enemy formation decimated and unable to regroup. On January 27, 2026, Rubicon Center operators struck hard across Donbass, Sumy, and Krasnoliman, turning the battlefield into a deadly no-go zone. Enemy mobility was wiped out first. Pickups, trucks, quad bikes, and other vehicles were destroyed before they could move. Armored targets followed. Humvees, BTR-70Ms, BBMs, and Brem-1s were reduced to burning wrecks, while bunkers and fortified positions were obliterated. UAV command posts, relay drones, antennas, and communication nodes were all neutralized with precision. In the skies, Ukrainian drones, including Baba Yaga reconnaissance units and retransmitters, were hunted down and destroyed. Rubicon did not just strike. It severed the enemy's lifelines, crushed their defenses, and left the battlefield in complete chaos. Russian drones left the enemy with no room to escape, striking targets with speed and precision across the Sumy direction. In one of the engagements, operators successfully intercepted and destroyed the Ukrainian heavy UAV, known as Baba Yaga, cutting off another aerial threat before it could deliver its payload. The momentum did not stop in the skies. The Rubicon unit continued to methodically dismantle enemy infrastructure on the ground, hitting vehicles, artillery systems, and key communication elements. Dugouts, shelters, UAV control posts, and temporary deployment areas were wiped out one after another, steadily collapsing the enemy's operational capability in the sector. The well-known drone operator squad Swarog's Swarm continues its relentless campaign across Konstantinovka and the surrounding areas, systematically hunting down Ukrainian troops and their equipment. Their strikes unfold with cold precision, leaving little room for the enemy to maneuver or regroup. Pickups carrying personnel are intercepted and destroyed one after another, while heavier targets such as armored BMP vehicles are also brought down from above. Even the feared Baba Yaga hexacopters are not spared, as Russian drones track and eliminate them in the air, tightening control over the battlefield with every strike. On the Krasnoarmysk front, drone units of the 51st Army from the center grouping executed precise strikes against Ukrainian forces, successfully destroying an enemy infantry fighting vehicle. The operator's skill and coordination allowed armed drones to hit the target with deadly accuracy, igniting fires and detonating the vehicle's munitions. These drone teams operate around the clock, constantly monitoring enemy movements along roads and supply routes. Through relentless aerial operations, the drones have become a decisive force, neutralizing vehicles and personnel, while systematically degrading the enemy's combat capability in the sector. Operators of the Vostok Group have eliminated Ukrainian ground robotic supply systems in the Zaporizhzhia region. During aerial reconnaissance, drone units detected unmanned platforms being used to transport ammunition and supplies to frontline positions along routes inaccessible to conventional vehicles and exposed to fire. Precise strikes were launched as the systems moved through wooded cover, where the enemy attempted to conceal their logistics flow beneath tree lines to avoid detection. The robotic platforms were destroyed in transit, cutting off resupply and disrupting support to forward armed forces of Ukraine positions. That's all for today's update. Thanks for watching, and don't miss our upcoming videos.